I'm here to share some information about regenerative ocean farming and to get you as excited about eating seaweed as I am. Ocean farming, specifically seaweed, has the potential to address some of the world's most pressing challenges. In recent years, seaweed has been promoted around the globe as an overlooked, multifaceted climate solution, a sustainable food and biofuel source, a feed that reduces methane emissions from cattle, and a tool with the potential to absorb massive quantities of carbon from the atmosphere. Let's dive more into the topic of seaweed for human consumption. The future of our food lies in zero-input food sources. What does that mean? Land-based food requires arid land and a water source, both of which are limited resources. With a growing population and a dwindling availability of land and water, our food system is on the brink of a crisis, and we already know that our environment, due to climate change, is in a crisis right now. Zero-input food sources are those that don't require arid land or a fresh source of water. Seaweed cultivation doesn't require either, and in fact, positively benefits the environment and in turn combats climate change. Plus, it's super healthy, and each variety has its own flavor profile, so there's limitless opportunities for how you can use it in your diet. Seaweed, the ocean accounts for 70% of the Earth's surface, and seafood could play a much more important role in global food provision. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, aquaculture is one of the world's fastest growing food producing sectors and now accounts for 50% of the world's fish that is used for food. But for the growth of this industry to be sustainable, the focus must not only be on fish, but also include seaweed and shellfish. Seaweed is a promising source of food and feed and provides important habitats that help to underpin crucial marine ecosystems. Beyond food, seaweed has limitless potential uses and benefits for food, materials, and even medicine. Seaweed has the potential to contribute to many of the solutions for a more sustainable world. Innovation projects are exploring the potential of using seaweed extracts as a source of packaging to replace single-use plastic and substitute oil-based adhesives. This is to move forward toward plastic reduction and a more environment-friendly chemistry in consumer goods. Seaweed research is also focusing on potential medicinal applications and its use as a specific dietary supplement and even as treatments for diseases like COVID because of its antiviral properties. Development of the industry could be a new source of revenue, especially for emerging economies and for vulnerable people. The new industry could help to alleviate hunger and poverty. Ultimately, we get more resilient coastal communities and reduced inequalities. I keep using the word sustainable, and I want to touch on what that means and bring the word regenerative into the discussion. Sustainable refers to methods in which a resource won't run out. We at Kelpful call our wild harvesting methods sustainable because the way that we cut the seaweed encourages more growth and doesn't remove from the existing population in a way that it won't be able to return. Sustainable methods are the minimum goal we should shoot for in all operations. Our ultimate goal, though, is to farm seaweed and shellfish, and to do so in a regenerative way. This is the goal of the industry as well. We want to do more than just take. We want to provide. The aim is to restore abundance to the ocean while solving some of the world's biggest societal challenges. Our vision, and that of the majority of the industry, is an upscaled, responsible, and restorative seaweed industry, playing a global significant role in food security, climate change mitigation, and support the marine ecosystem, as well as contributing to the job creation and economic growth. So where is regenerative ocean farming today globally, in the US and California specifically? Seaweed farming is carried out in at least 56 countries worldwide, but is still considered an emerging industry at the start of a growth phase. Outside of Asia, the global seaweed industry is relatively undeveloped, fragmented, and regionalized in many places. In the US, seaweed farming is big on the East Coast and most recently in Alaska, but the US continues to import the majority of its seaweed from Asia. The main obstacle to industry growth in California is water bottom lease acquisition regulatory permitting. The lease process and permitting of new aquaculture operations within California state waters, specifically those involving seaweed and shellfish, involves an arduous process and a significant amount of money. Additionally, at this time, it is only possible to receive a lease for new aquaculture operations within the jurisdiction of the Humboldt Bay Harbor District, as they are the only local coastal jurisdiction that has established a streamlined subleasing permit and process. In all areas outside of a harbor district that are in state waters, jurisdiction falls to California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and they currently lack the institutional knowledge, the staffing, and the funding to review and approve new lease applications. No new water bottom leases under CDFW jurisdiction have been issued in over 20 years. California only has one commercially licensed seaweed farm operating, and it's operating in Humboldt Bay. And there's only one other existing lease that was approved in the 1970s that allows for kelp culture, but it does not yet have the required permits to operate. However, the movement is happening in California, and we can expect more local coastal jurisdictions to establish a similar system to Humboldt Bay soon. And eventually, CDFW, in conjunction with the regulatory agencies, will have an established process for seaweed ocean farms to launch. What can you guys do to help? As I said before, the biggest hurdle is a lack of funding. CDFW budget comes from the state legislature, of which only 1% last year was dedicated to aquaculture operations as a whole, which is managing everything way beyond just approving new lease applications. If you really wanted to make an impact, you could express the importance of funding for aquaculture regulations and water bottom lease processes to state legislature, or you could just start supporting your local farmers, like eating oysters from Morro Bay or eating more seaweed from businesses like Kelpful. You wouldn't believe the delicious ways that you can incorporate this vegetable from the sea into your diet, and trust me, your body and your environment will thank you. Kelpful's ultimate vision, and that of many future farmers, is a future where everyone has access to food and medicine from the sea, and it is produced in a way that regenerates ecosystems, mitigates the effects of climate change, and provides economic abundance to the local economy.